David Adams, a successful hotel owner, decides to check in anonymously at one of his properties. What he uncovers about the staff's behavior shakes him to the core. How will he handle the betrayal and restore the integrity of his business? Let us know where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. David Thompson stepped through the grand entrance of the luxurious hotel he owned, his footsteps echoing softly against the polished marble floor. The chandeliers above sparkled like frozen fireworks, casting a warm golden hue across the expansive lobby. But despite the splendor around him, David couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Employees bustled about, but their smiles seemed reserved only for those they deemed worthy of attention. He approached the front desk, where two young receptionists, Sarah and Emily, whispered and chuckled amongst themselves. Sarah's sleek blonde ponytail bobbed as she leaned towards her colleague, glancing at David with thinly veiled disdain. "Can I help you?" Sarah asked, her voice devoid of warmth. "Yes, I have a reservation under the name John Adams," David replied evenly. He noticed how Emily nudged Sarah, muttering under her breath, "Probably another wannabe VIP." Sarah smirked and tapped at her keyboard slowly, as if making him wait was a part of her job description. "We'll need a few moments to verify your booking," she said, her gaze dropping to his simple attire. Dark jeans, a tailored jacket, but no flashy brand logos. David watched their behavior carefully, concealing his growing disappointment. He wasn't just here to stay. He was here to uncover the truth about how guests were treated, especially those who didn't fit the high-status profile. "Let's see how this plays out," he thought, his jaw tightening as Sarah and Emily exchanged another glance filled with condescension. David stood at the reception desk, observing the subtle dynamics unfolding before him. Emily took a step back, folding her arms and whispering to Sarah with a smirk, "He looks like he just walked in off the street." Sarah stifled a laugh, sneaking another glance at David. Their professionalism was crumbling under their assumptions. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah finally typed more deliberately on her keyboard. "I see your reservation, Mr. Adams," she said, though her tone remained dismissive. "But the suite you requested isn't ready. We might be able to accommodate you tomorrow." David raised an eyebrow. "Tomorrow? My booking was confirmed weeks ago." Sarah shrugged nonchalantly. "These things happen. High-demand clients get priority." Emily stepped forward with a rehearsed smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Perhaps you'd prefer a room in our executive wing. It's more suitable." "More suitable?" David echoed, his voice steady. He caught the condescending undertone and chose not to react just yet. He wasn't here to reveal himself, at least not now. Behind him, a well-dressed couple arrived, and Sarah's demeanor shifted instantly. "Good evening, welcome to the Grand Horizon," she beamed at them, her voice dripping with hospitality. David stepped aside and observed how smoothly the check-in process unfolded for the new guests. No delays, no excuses, just flawless service. His patience was wearing thin, but he reminded himself of the purpose of this visit. He needed to see the extent of the problem, and so far, it was playing out worse than he'd expected. "Take your time," he said calmly, stepping back to let them handle other guests. But his mind raced with thoughts of accountability, knowing changes were overdue. David wandered through the grand lobby after being informed his room would take another hour or two. The opulent chandeliers sparkled above him, casting golden hues on the polished marble floor. Despite the elegance surrounding him, he couldn't shake the bitterness of the encounter with Sarah and Emily. As he moved toward the hotel lounge, snippets of conversation reached his ears. A group of bellhops gossiped near the entrance. From the corner of his eye, he noticed Sarah and Emily lingering near the reception desk, whispering while glancing his way. "Who books a suite like that without a luxury car?" Sarah chuckled softly. Emily leaned in. "Maybe he's one of those wannabes who saved up just to impress someone." David's jaw tightened. He knew this narrative all too well. It was the same prejudice masked under fake politeness, people making snap judgments about his character based on how he looked. He made his way to the lounge area and sat down near the window. Outside, tourists strolled along the palm-lined avenue, their laughter contrasting the discontent simmering inside him. He had fought for years to build his business empire and provide opportunities for others, Yet moments like this reminded him how easily he could be dismissed in a place he owned. A young server named Maria approached with a hesitant smile. "Good evening, sir. Would you like something to drink?" David softened, sensing the genuine kindness in her voice. "Just water for now, thank you." Maria returned quickly, placing the glass before him with care. "If you need anything else, don't hesitate to ask." "Thank you, Maria," he said, reading her name tag. Her sincerity was refreshing, a stark contrast to the condescending reception he had endured earlier. He wondered how many other employees here carried the same warmth, but were overshadowed by toxic attitudes at the top. Moments later, the tension escalated again. From across the lounge, he overheard Sarah and Emily laughing. They had stepped away from the desk and were now near a seating area, apparently unaware or unconcerned that he could hear them clearly. "Bet he's gonna ask for a discount next," Emily said, shaking her head. "These people always do." Sarah snorted. "They act like they belong in places like this. It's embarrassing." David clenched his fists under the table. Their words stung, not because they doubted his wealth or status, but because they reflected a broader mindset, a lack of respect for anyone who didn't fit their narrow expectations of success. He stood abruptly, causing Maria to glance his way with concern. "Is everything all right, sir?" David took a calming breath and nodded. "Yes, Maria. Thank you." His next steps were clear in his mind. He needed to confront this behavior, but not with immediate anger. There was more power in revealing the truth with calculated precision. He dialed a number on his phone. "Kara, I need you to meet me here tomorrow morning. We have a situation." Kara, his executive assistant, was accustomed to handling crises, but this one was personal. He could hear the urgency in her voice. "Of course, Mr. Adams. I'll be there at 8 sharp. Ending the call, David returned to the reception area, his expression unreadable. Sarah and Emily quickly masked their smirks as he approached. "Any updates on my room?" Just a few more minutes, Mr. Adams," Sarah stammered, her confidence faltering slightly. David leaned in, his gaze piercing. "Take your time. I'll be watching how things are handled." As he walked away, the weight of his words hung in the air. Emily shifted nervously, whispering, "Did he hear us?" Sarah shrugged, trying to appear indifferent. "Doesn't matter, he's nobody important." But deep down, a spark of doubt ignited in both women. Meanwhile, David ascended to the temporary room they finally provided, knowing that tomorrow would bring a reckoning. He had given them a chance to correct their behavior, and they had failed spectacularly. This wasn't just about him. It was about ensuring no other guest experienced such treatment in his establishment ever again. The next morning, David stood near the hotel entrance waiting for Kara. The sun bathed the building's glass facade in a soft golden glow, yet David's mind was set on the storm about to unfold. He wore a sleek navy suit, the epitome of calm authority. Today he wouldn't be the anonymous guest Sarah and Emily mocked. Today they would meet the real owner. A black sedan pulled up, and Kara, a poised woman in her mid-30s with sharp eyes and a confident stride, stepped out. "Good morning, Mr. Adams," she greeted him with a brief handshake. "Morning, Kara. I hope you're ready for a little reality check," David said, a trace of dry humor in his voice. "Always," Kara replied, adjusting the folder of reports she carried. Inside the lobby, Sarah and Emily stood at their post, casually chatting with each other. They didn't notice David at first, but straightened up the moment they saw Kara approaching, her authoritative presence impossible to ignore. "Excuse me," Kara said with a no-nonsense tone. "I'm here to meet Mr. Adams, the owner of this hotel." Sarah froze, her smile stiffening. "The owner?" she echoed. Emily glanced nervously at David, her mind racing. "Mr. Adams? No, it couldn't be him." David stepped forward, locking eyes with the two women. "Yes, I am the owner, and I believe we have some things to discuss regarding your conduct yesterday." The color drained from Sarah's face. "Sir, I didn't realize—" "Exactly," David interrupted, his voice firm but measured. "You didn't realize, you assumed, and in doing so you disrespected a paying guest and tarnished the reputation of this establishment." Kara observed silently, taking mental notes as David continued. This isn't just about me. It's about how you treat everyone who walks through these doors. I built this hotel with the vision that every guest would be valued equally. What you displayed yesterday was the exact opposite of that. Emily swallowed hard, her eyes wide with panic. Mr. Adams, I didn't mean— No excuses, David cut her off. Apologies mean nothing without accountability. I expect better from my team, and if you can't meet those expectations, you'll have no place here. The entire lobby had gone eerily quiet. Other employees watched from a distance, aware that this moment would set a precedent. Effective immediately, David continued, you both will undergo disciplinary review and sensitivity training. I suggest you take this opportunity to reflect and improve. Consider this your only warning. Sarah and Emily nodded silently, the weight of their actions fully sinking in. Later that afternoon, David sat in the hotel's executive lounge, sipping on a cup of freshly brewed coffee. The atmosphere was peaceful, with soft jazz playing in the background. The tension from earlier had faded, replaced by a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had delivered a clear message, not just to Sarah and Emily, but to every staff member who witnessed the confrontation. Kara joined him, taking a seat across the table. You handled that well, she remarked, setting down a tablet. They won't forget this day anytime soon. David smiled faintly. Good. But I want lasting change, not fear. It's about creating a culture of respect and empathy. Kara nodded thoughtfully. Understood. We'll revise staff training protocols and ensure that every employee knows the importance of treating guests with dignity. As they spoke, a staff member approached the table hesitantly. Mr. Adams, I just wanted to say thank you. We've heard about what happened earlier. It's inspiring to see you care so much about both guests and staff. David gave a genuine smile. Thank you. That means a lot. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, David reflected on the day's events. Leadership wasn't just about power. It was about setting an example. Have you ever faced a situation where you were unfairly judged or mistreated? Share your story in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening tales like this one.